Now, hey John, how you doing, buddy?
Yo, busy. What's going on?
Living the dream as always. Week 2 is in the books. Doesn't it seem like every year there's always this like waiting period until the season kicks off, and then all of a sudden it's pedal to the metal, and it's like you can't even catch up.
We're going into week 3 already. I mean,
Nuts.
that's crazy. Yeah, this is the last portion of the first of our divisions.
Yeah.
We'll finish our round robin with our division mates.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the Strictly Business Podcast, week 2 review. We're obviously going to talk about a few things and get into week 3. There's certainly some teams that are fighting to not be 0-3. Fortunately, you and I have been there before, or at least 1-3, 0-3. That's a tough spot to be. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Talk about some transactions that went down, and some teams are starting to take shape after 2 weeks. I think the league certainly has the heavy hitters, which I'm proud to say both you and I belong on that short list this year. And I know it's a good feeling, isn't it?
But I mean, we can't take the foot off the gas, bro. Like this could be turned around real quick. My second year, I started 3-1 and missed the playoffs because of a 4-game losing streak.
Yep.
So it can turn at any point. So
fantasy football can be quite vicious. And, to all of our viewers out there, we're recording this on Friday evening here in Colorado due to my work schedule this week. I apologize. I was in Kentucky looking at some hemp and meeting some Southern folk down in Kentucky. It was a lot of business and a little bit of pleasure. It was a good time as always.
But, of course.
Yeah, it was a really good time. Matter of fact, a guy that I've been working with for damn near 2.5 years, he lives in California. I'd never met him in person, and he is a part of this partnership group that we're working with and helped set up these meetings. So I had a chance to meet with him in Louisville and go out and have some drinks. He brought his wife, got to meet his wife, and we've become friends over working together in 2.5 years. We don't just talk business, we talk a lot of personal, but to really meet the guy in person, it's like, now it's like, all right, cool, now we can kick it, now we're boys for sure. It's just strange how the world has changed, man. You can work all digital. We've been on video calls, obviously technology, emails, phone calls, texts, but then you get to meet somebody in person, and it's like, it's a good feeling.
Oh, for sure. The league, this league has been a lot of that for me. I've had a opportunity to meet a few guys from here that never would have come across in, real life outside of this. So, and it was always exciting and fun to meet you guys and, hang out. So,
no, and
I completely get that feeling.
Yeah. And I'm very happy that things have worked out the way that you have come into the league and really made some friends, some lifelong friends. I mean, that's really what fantasy is about. Have a good time. But this league is more so, we always say that it's not a hobby, it's a lifestyle, right? And, you adapted. And, but along the way, you've developed, again, lifelong friendships. And, that to me is really what this league's about, is there's a group of us that started this league because we all grew up together. We all came up together from our hometown, and we've added and subtracted over time. And, I really, I have a passion for this league. When I try to explain to people what this league is about, it happens all the time. People don't get it, and I say, yeah, I'm the commissioner of the Fantasy Football League. We do a little podcast. They're like, wait, you do a podcast? What about? And I'm like, our league, specific to our league, and then I explained to them how this league started and doing Excel spreadsheets with the USA Today paper. And we used to do rotisserie in like cumulative stats, rushing yards, passing yards, touchdowns, so on. It wasn't head to head. So, the league has completely transformed over time. And again, with the addition and subtraction of people, I think this is the tightest the league has been. I even think Dave is, after his first year, he's come out of his shell a little bit. You see him pulling the trigger on some deals. And of course, the league welcomes him, So I'm stoked. Obviously, it feels good to be 2-0. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it's a good time to be in the league. And let's do this. Let's get right into week 2. Week 2, it seems like it's been forever ago because it's already Friday and we're staring down the barrel. We already had one game in week 3, but let's pause on that. The first game I'd like to review is in my division was Jeff, King of the Castle, versus No Money Mahomes. Now, Jeff put up 152 plus points, really solid week for him. Tom Brady did it again. In that, do you think Tom Brady's going for 60 this year? What do you think?
I think he is definitely trying to break Peyton Manning's touchdown pace when he was in his big year here in Denver. That was his second year in Denver, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. Yeah. When he had
Right. So really at the point where they were able to step into their groove and, they were able to ride that to a championship that year. No, they lost, but they were able to get to the Super Bowl. So I'm sure he's going to want to ride that kind of momentum. And, he's competitive. If he can find anything to compete in, he's going to do it. And he'll definitely see competition in beating Manning's record here.
And even though there's an extra game on the regular season schedule this year, Tom has such a chip on his shoulder always that I think he's going to do it in 16 games. I do.
Well, yeah. And you were saying, is Manning's record 55? So
50,
that would,
I think it's only 53, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. But I thought it was 53. Passing TD record. Let me pull it up real quick. Season. Hold on. You're right. 55. My bad. It was 55 in 2013.
So one more game, 60. I think that's the number that he's trying to hit. Yeah, to answer your question. To make a short answer long.
Well, he's got the weapons. He's off to a great start. The team looks, really the only time they don't score is when they self-implode. And it doesn't happen often. Tom's a perfectionist. Put up 39 points this week to lead the way. Eckler had a great game. Godwin, of course, DJ Moore, who I absolutely love this year. He had a couple other guys chip in. It was just really Tom Brady leading the charge. And, let's talk about Rich's team for a second. I know you're pretty close with my cousin and you guys talk all the time. What's the feeling we're getting out of upstate New York right now?
Well, ain't happy. It's never fun to start 0-2 and, tying it in with, it wasn't a Buffalo loss this time, but, there's got to be a little bit of a realization that you're watching your defense carry games right now where Josh Allen had to carry games last year. So Josh Allen doesn't have to be what Josh Allen was last year. So that's got to be tough for him to see the success on the field for his team, but not having it to convert here.
And that's the hardest part when you pick players that are on your favorite team. And I was talking to Jeff this week about maybe a Saquon deal because we certainly have the pieces to make that happen. Sure. And to Jeff's credit, he's like, no, I'm not trading Saquon right now unless I get something that I really want because Saquon's low. I get it. This is a league of Giants fans. But I think I even mentioned to you on a call, I said, I'm torn because he's a buy low candidate right now. We all know what he's capable of, but he's on my favorite team. And I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he's like, why don't you go after Saquon? I said, well, the Giants don't play well, or Saquon has a shitty game and the Giants lose. That hurts me both, my heart and with my fantasy team. And I don't want to have a bad weekend like that. I'm trying to, no drama in the busy household. We're just trying to put up W's, but Rich is in trouble. He's in a division where clearly he's number 4 in the pecking order of the 4 teams. Unless things turn around and you know, there's catastrophic changes to other people's teams, he's in trouble. And I've been there. I've been there when, you know, you're struggling and you don't have a lot of pieces to go out and get studs. He's gonna have to hit on a few of these guys to really blow
Yeah.
up, because
100%.
you know, Keenan Allen's solid, Stephon Diggs is solid, and obviously Josh Allen hasn't really done much. But other than that, it's kind of, you know, there's a lot of holes to fill. So
You sleeping on Big Lenny?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm not a fan of any running back wearing a Buccaneers jersey. They're pass catchers, absolutely. Tom Brady, 100%, but nothing coming out of that backfield. No thanks, not for me. So anyhow, Jeff, big win, 1-1, gets his first win of the year. Rich obviously falls to 0-2, facing you know, a struggle this week and not going 0-3. The next match I want to talk about is Carl KZ versus Little Nicki Normie Puss Flipper. And they both came in here. Carl was 1-0, Phil is 0-2. It was a close matchup, 152.16 to 140.7. Carl took it, moving up to 2-0. And Flipper's another guy that's 0-2, facing 0-3, but in a much different scenario than Rich.
Certainly feels a lot different there. You know, he's put up 140 and 148 in his 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, that feels a lot different than losing, putting up 90 and 100.
And you also look at his team. George Kittle hasn't done shit in 2 weeks. You certainly expect that to change. Aaron Rodgers did have a bounce back game. You expect that to continue, be more like Aaron Rodgers. Amari Cooper fell back to earth from his, you know, phenomenal week 1 performance. And then Carl, he's playing quarterback roulette right now. And after 2 weeks, it's worked. I mean, he had 4, as of this match, he had 4 quarterbacks on his roster and certainly picked the best one with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that Minnesota offense?
It's a little more diverse than I thought it was going to be. Osborne, your boy, he's really helped spread them out, you know, and it's almost like he's taken Thielen's role, and Thielen's now the tight end, you know, doing the work down in the end zone and that. So
all he does is catch touchdowns.
I'm telling you what,
touchdown
that's
machine.
it.
Touchdown machine. You know, both these guys got strong performances out of their defense. Tampa Bay against Atlanta had 21 points. Denver, of course, at Jacksonville had 20 points. So they kind of washed out there. Really, where Carl beat him was with Christian McCaffrey at 22 points, and Scary Terry McLaurin with 27 against my Giants in that Thursday night game. That was really the biggest difference if you look side by side, you know, down this matchup. So Carl continues to play the quarterback roulette. We all know what happened last night. That certainly will be a sting in his side. We'll talk about that as we go into week 3. But
we'll get there.
As of right now, Carl's 2-0, and Flipper falls to 0-2. All right, John, go on to your match here. This was a big time matchup going into the week because, of course, you were 1-0, Norm was 0-1, but it really wasn't close. I mean, you want to give me your recap on how the week went? 160 to 100.
I mean, it was pretty evident with the early games that, you know, a lot of his guys were struggling. Who did he play early? You know, you had Montgomery, Chenault, Devonta Smith. I don't know if that was an early game, but Jonathan Taylor, Edwards-Helaire, you know, a lot of guys underperformed early. And, you know, I only had 3 guys going, and 2 of them put up duds, but the other one was a little Cooper Kupp. And, you know, Cooper Kupp basically kept pace with all of his morning guys. And, you know, then Kyler got on the field, and, you know,
after 2 weeks, Cooper Kupp is the number 1 ranked wide receiver, as he should be. 9 for 163 and 2 touchdowns last week, and a very highly efficient and high potency offense out there in LA. You're right. The early games, that Philadelphia San Francisco game was atrocious. You and I were together watching games, and we're watching Red Zone. I remember they clipped to that game just to show a field goal because they haven't shown shit because the game was just so awful.
Well, and they showed the Rager touchdown that came back.
Yeah,
So it was like they're trying, but there wasn't anything there to show us.
yeah. I mean, Cooper Kupp. I mean, Kyler is the early season MVP. I mean, what a pick, John. 47.1. That dude's a beast. D Hop really didn't do what he did in week 1, but it didn't matter. I mean, you won by 60 points. So
I know I won by 60 points, but let's talk about something. I could have won by a lot more if I didn't have that regret the weird, the last minute lineup jitters. Like if I would have kept the lineup I had all week in, and I know if was a spliff, but Lord, at the last minute I forced Ayuk in over Rondale Moore, and I also Jamal Williams over James White, and they were both done between 11:55 or 10:55 and 11 in the morning. 5 minutes before kickoff. But yeah, the squad played out. Nook Nook had a touchdown and 4 catches before apparently he hurt his ribs and played decoy the rest of the game. TJ Hawkinson did all right. Zeke came out and put a touchdown down. So,
and what's up with CEH? This dude, he's a bust, huh? First round bust.
Man,
I mean, real NFL draft.
A real NFL. It looks like it at this point, but there's still a long season ahead of us. He can't put up this kind of stuff every week.
He pissed me off because I had the Chiefs. I took the Chiefs minus 3.5 in that game, and they're winning by 11 almost the entire second half. And then, as we know, Baltimore stormed back, and then the Chiefs got the ball down 1, and they're in field goal range. But we all know they weren't going to settle for a field goal. They do it, they hand the ball off just to mix it up. Plenty of time left. I think there was still well over a minute left. And CEH coughs it up. So he's very low on my list. I wasn't high on him going in, but at this point, it's just
all right. CEH or Leonard Fournette?
Fournette.
Okay.
Yep.
Just checking.
Yep. What about you?
Oh yeah, I'm Big Lenny. When you said you were down on Big Lenny, I curled my nose. I like Lenny.
Well, I'm not down on Lenny. Let me explain. My point is the system. They're a pass first team. Lenny's going to get his, just like Kansas City. But if you were to put those two side by side, it's all day. It's Lenny. I mean, you got to prove it. And CEH hasn't proven much. I mean, I think his longest run last year was only like 22 or 24 yards, CEH. He doesn't have that breakaway speed. They're not throwing him the ball. He has no value. Like, he is borderline drop, in my opinion. Borderline drop. Because if he keeps playing this way, he's not going to be playing for Kansas City. So, anyhow, you move up to 2-0. Norm falls to 0-2. Now, here's another good one. Ryan versus Dave. God hates me after 6 weeks. In the Bronx. Fucking team name. All right. Dave came storming back. This one was, nip and tuck for a while. But Dave got the edge at 156.96 to Ryan's 128.28. This was a good matchup for a while. And obviously what really secured it was that Sunday night performance by Lamar. And, I got to give Dave the golf clap. He went out and redid his team essentially. Got rid of Baker, got rid of all the other quarterbacks on his roster, and made a push and traded one of those backs and got Lamar. And Norm, unfortunately, after 1 week, gave up on his guy, and Lamar pumped out 37.26, over 100 yards rushing. I mean, we all know Lamar's not going to be a passing leader, but he's going to do it with his legs. I mean, that's what he did in 2019. So, and then of course Dak only had 6.48. He didn't have a good game, even though Dallas did win that game.
And
He'll-
let's be real. Let's look down Ryan's entire lineup and just say week 6 got here real early, and it would have been real ugly if the Bills didn't pounce the shit out of Miami.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because in our league, if you get 20 points out of your defense, you had a great week. When you get 45 out of your defense, that's like getting 60 out of your quarterback. And he had 45 points in that blowout 35-0 win over Miami and only put up 128 points. You know, you look, CD had 13, T. Higgins, he got hurt, 13, Debo, my boy, 13, Chase with 10. Those are just double-digit guys after the Bills, And even though Dave ended up back at 0 with that Dolphins D, 21 out of Pittman, 21 out of or 20, almost 21 out of Cook. Cortland Sutton had a big game. Nick Chubb chipped in, and then he slammed the hammer down with Lamar on Sunday night. Dave's got a good team. Got a good team, and now he's got a real fighting chance in that division, sitting at 1-1. Ryan falls to 1-1. It's going to be tough because you even look at Ryan's bench. He doesn't have much of a bench. So he's rolling with what he got. Like you said, week 6 came in week 2. So another week 2 matchup is the Ice Cream Man versus Rick Talk. So RJ versus Ricky. RJ stormed victory behind Pat Mahomes, 143-117. We thought Ricky might have had a chance. Stafford put up only 20 points. And then he had DeAndre Swift with 9.8 on Monday night, which was, didn't really matter at that point. But, the thing is, RJ, first of all, he went and got Kelsey. So he's got probably the best connect in the league. And
going back to last year, I heard Kelsey's got over 20 fantasy points in like the last 9 straight games or something ridiculous.
He's the epitome of consistency. It's unbelievable. And so when I was doing my draft strategy, I was hoping Kelsey would fall to me at 11 because I was looking at those top wide receivers. Your wide receiver can go out and put out a dud 3 for 22. Kelsey doesn't do that, dude. I mean, if you look at his game logs over the last 2, 3 seasons, even 4 seasons, it is just boom, boom, boom. And then he blows up. But still, it's like steady dose, man. It is. Since Pat Mahomes became the quarterback, he's just he's taking it to a new level. Again, RJ, he's got a really good team. We know this. Even a couple of his studs really didn't perform studly. The Arizona Cardinals defense, 200 fake bucks, got you -4 points. Wah, wah, wah. However, I will say this, it's only 1 week. And we know that's not going to be the Cardinals D all year, especially with their schedule. Looking at it, I mean, they play at Jacksonville this week. So I get it. But when you spend all of your fab bucks and you get a -4, that doesn't feel good. What does feel good, scoring 143 points and winning on top of that -4. So RJ moves to 2-0. Ricky falls to 0-2. Now, the game of the week. Sorry, Nick. You ran into a buzzsaw, buddy. I told you it wasn't going to be easy. My team, I'm happy that I won. I could have won by 1 and I'd be elated. But the fact that I put an ass whooping on you, feels so much better. So much better. 212.62 to 136.72. Thank God Aaron Jones put up 35 or 38.5 on Monday night, or this would have been real bad.
Ugly.
Real bad. I want to give a shout out to Norm for this victory. Appreciate it. Derrick Henry dropped 49.7. Much appreciated. So correct me if I'm wrong. At the beginning of the week, Norm had both Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson on his team. Okay, now he's 0-2. Okay, got it. Just want to point that out for the league.
Thanks, Norm.
I tip my cap to Norm. Thank you very much. And also thanks, Rich. thanks to Rich. I mean, I know I traded Kelsey, but I got Mike Evans and Tyler Lockett in that deal, and I got Daryl Henderson. Henderson was the low scorer out of those three with 15.7. Evans had 22. He had 2 touchdowns. And then my boy Tyler Lockett, 32.8. Russ is still in the kitchen cooking, so that's a good sign. But like you said, it's only week 2. There's still a lot of football to be played. Yeah, it feels good to be week, 2-0 and put an ass whooping on the former defending champ. But now we're on to week 3, and it is what it is. This is a week-to-week league. It's a week-to-week. NFL is a week-to-week league.
So I got a question for you, Biz.
Sure.
Do you think that Nick got the moral victory he was looking for?
Moral victory in what sense? His team scored 136 points.
I don't know. He went into the week saying he wanted a moral victory against Busy.
Well, if you look at how his team performed, again, going into Monday night, this was a wrap. I mean, this was done. 38.5 gives you a good feeling going into week 3. There are no moral victories. Not in fantasy football. You either win or you lose, bro. And you got your ass beat. 136. Put this way, 136. Looking at the other games, this is 136 doesn't win you a single match last week. On top of it, there's even another team, Phil, who had 140. So you had the 8th best week. There's no moral victory in that. You can't be happy. Sorry, not sorry, dude. So moving on. Week 3. Here we come. Are there any transactions or anything that you want to talk about?
I literally clicked on transactions and I just saw the most Nicki transaction ever.
Oh, with the Josh Gordon?
Josh Gordon and Marlon Mack.
Yeah. That was probably the most notable deal of the week thus far, is Nick trading some running backs. Norm's made some moves. RJ made a big move where he got Calvin Ridley via Norm.
And Calvin Ridley and Chris Carson for Gronk, Thielen, and Fuller.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that deal. Hopefully Norm doesn't become a feeder team this year.
He got Ridley, Devontae Parker, and J.D. McKissick for Marlon Mack, Jonathan Taylor, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That was one of the bigger ones this week.
Yeah.
It looks like it's been kind of a quiet week.
Yeah, trade-wise. I know McKeever did a deal, right? What was the wide receiver he picked up? It was a 1-for-1. That was maybe later in the week, but yeah, kind of. Excuse me.
He picked up Devonta Smith from Norm for something.
There you go. Yeah.
So Norm's busy making his moves.
Oh yeah, always. I mean, I've been after you have 212 points, it's hard, and you got a couple guys on your bench that had good weeks. It's hard to, you get a little picky, and like I said, even though it's 1 week, you get a little picky with your team. I know you feel that way too.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to come up off one of my top guys, you're gonna have to come correct right now. I mean, I'm feeling the team. There's nothing that I feel needs to be moved. Like if you want me to come up off something, entice me. And we're not doing it by putting a bunch of Reese's Pieces together right now. I mean, I feel good about my draft. So
yeah.
I'm not trying to make any kind of irrational moves if I don't have to.
Would you consider a Kyler for Russ base and then DK and Lockett for Rondale and Nook?
I'd consider something like that, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Okay. I mean, why would you?
Right. Like that's, yeah.
Just tinkering, planting seeds.
Right. But the whole point is that's at least coming correct. That's not saying I'll give you a bunch of Reese's Pieces for, Cooper
Right.
Cup.
Right.
You know, I'm not.
All right.
Nope.
Yeah. I got you. I got you. Hey, just throwing it out there. The league would be shook if something like that went down. Especially the way
Oh, sure.
especially
And
the way these guys started.
if I got the right value, I'm not saying I wouldn't come up off Kyler and Nook and Rondale.
You can't trade Kyler. You can't trade Kyler right now. You can't.
I don't know what the right deal is. Like,
There is no right deal for Kyler.
right.
If I were you, I would just fucking squat, not sit, squat. See ya. Like, write a ticket. Let's go. That's kind of how I feel about Russ. You know, I know Russ always starts the season hot, you know, and things can fall apart out there. But personally, like, I love Russ. So why would I, you know, even entertain moving him right now?
I mean, I wouldn't dismantle that this year.
No.
I feel like they're just going to let Russ cook. I mean,
yeah,
my personal opinion, they seem to be letting pretty much the whole NFL cook right now.
Been a lot of offense in most games, except for that Philly San Francisco game last week. So moving on to week 3, I mean, again, we've got a few teams here. I think there's 4 teams total in the league. There's 4 teams 2-0, 4 teams 1-1, and then 4 teams that don't have a win and facing that dreaded 0-3 start. And starting off with my match here against Rich, I'm 2-0, first place in the division. He's 0-2. You know, again, we talked about the roster situation. Do I love my matchups this week? No, I've got a couple flex decisions to make. But do I feel confident that I should be able to score 140, 150 points with this team? Yeah, I do. I don't know. How do you feel about this matchup? I mean, he's got a couple studs, and if they go off, I'll be in trouble. There's no question about it.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't necessarily know that Minnesota is going to be the team slowing down Seattle.
Yeah, no.
I don't think Indianapolis is going to be the team slowing down Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
You know, are you getting concerned about Najee?
A little. Not so much Najee as it is that Pittsburgh offense.
100%. You know, Ben looks like a pile of dog crap.
And there's a few times, you know, Najee had 5 catches last week. I think he needs to get more involved in the passing game. And of course, when you see your running back wide open, you know, running an out route for 5-7 yards, but then maybe take it a little further, and he tries to force it into double or triple coverage downfield, you're like, Ben, what are we doing, dude? It's only second down, you know. And I saw that a lot last week where Big Ben just he's not making good throws downfield. It's a dink and dunk offense. Defenses are certainly keying in on the run. Almost all of their plays are run out of the fucking shotgun just to give Ben an extra split second. You know, they need to get more creative. It's frustrating when Najee gets as many touches as he has in the first 2 weeks. And literally, like, he's got more yards besides Derrick Henry after contact than any other back. And, you know, let's get a little creative. Let's get him out in space. Let's run just a standard running back screen to him and see what happens. You know, this week's going to be challenging in the sense that, what is it? Who's out for Pittsburgh? They already ruled him out. Wide receiver.
Deontay.
Thank you. Deontay Johnson. Yeah. So they ruled him out, which, again, leads me to think, okay, well, where's the creativity going to come from? Because he was their number 1 wide receiver after 2 weeks. So it'll be unique. It'll be interesting. I mean, I do like the matchup. I think the over is going to hit in that game. I think it's 47 or 48 right now. I think the over is going to hit. I think they will score some points. That's my hope, because TJ Watt's not playing. Cincinnati's going to put points on the board. So we'll see. It's a division game. It'll be interesting. But yeah, play calling first and foremost. That bothers me about Pittsburgh. So I don't know. I don't know how you feel about this matchup. I feel confident. Again, I am a little nervous though about the two Buffalo Bills in my face, that they're a ticking time bomb. And this could be the week that they go off. I mean, the problem is they are playing Washington. Washington's had 10 days off, and people are starting to pick at that defense. So the defense is going to have a little chip on their shoulder.
Something to prove, yeah.
And last week when the Giants moved the ball against them, it was a little bit through the air, but I think Daniel Jones only had 265 yards passing. So it wasn't like a huge arsenal through the air. It was more on the ground with the read option. So we'll see. I mean, Buffalo's a good team. They're still a really good team. It's only week 3. I just hope they don't go off this week. Next, I've got the Bronx versus Rick Talk. Rick's 0-2. Dave's 1-1. This one looks heavily favored towards Dave, I must say, based on the matchups. Again, you got Tyreek, who can go off for 40 at any point, but we haven't seen much out of Kyle Pitts. Good thing he's playing my Giants this week. Antonio Gibson, he's just been meh so far in 2 weeks. Ricky needs a win. This is a huge game. And then Stafford playing against Tampa Bay. That could be a tricky one. I do think, you can't run on Tampa Bay.
No, I think it's going to probably be like a 30-28 kind of game, not a crazy shootout, but I think what happens through the air on both sides, honestly.
Well, the biggest benefit for LA is that game is being played in California. So it's a late afternoon game. Tampa Bay has to travel across the country, and they're playing in the Dome. So I think it's going to be a track meet, and I think it's going to be an aerial display like 4th of July. There's just going to be fireworks, explosions. I don't think there's going to be much rushing other than a change of pace from time to time. I think you have Antonio Brown. He's out. That makes things a little interesting as well. Darrell Henderson may not play for the Rams. So I personally believe it's going to be, even with AB being out, I think it's going to be an aerial display. That's what I'm hoping for anyways. It's more fun.
I mean, honestly, they could lose, not that I want them to, but they could lose AB and Godwin and still have an aerial attack,
Yeah. And then Baltimore goes to Detroit, which means Lamar is going to run wild, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, this is a tough one, but I give the edge to Dave. What do you think?
I mean, Ricky already had a wide receiver go in last night's game, Terrace Marshall, 6.8 points. It's not the start you're looking for. And you're right. Dave's still got a squad of studs over there. You got to deal with Lamar Jackson. You got to deal with Nick Chubb. You got to deal with Darren Waller. You got to deal with Dalvin Cook. And because I'm an idiot, 1 week early, I traded him Madison. So if Cook's gone, he's still got Madison.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a game, but I don't like either one of those defensive matchups.
Patriots home against New Orleans, and then Dave's got Miami at Vegas.
Yeah, I think Ricky's going to need 300 out of Stafford, probably 15 out of Swift, 15 out of Robinson, who's got no usage.
Yeah.
Hope for a banger out of Tyreek, man.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know. I would favor Dave. I don't want to, project point total, but I favor Dave in this one.
Yeah.
Next, I've got Rockets 1-1 against Ice Cream Man. Now, we just talked about Ryan's team and how last week it was quite the challenge because Dak didn't do much. Dak plays home against Philly Monday night. And, that bodes well for CeeDee Lamb, of course. He's still got that Bills D playing against Taylor Heineke. at home against Washington. That's a big matchup. I don't know. Obviously, I love Debo no matter who he plays. We talked about that Rams Tampa game possibly being a shootout. He's got Robert Woods. What's up with Alvin Kamara right now?
He had a decent week 1, didn't he?
Decent. Let's see.
I think he had 15 points week 1, didn't he?
16 points, 20 carries, 83 yards. He only had 3 catches for 8 yards and a touchdown that week. Last week, he had 4 catches for 25, only 8 carries for 5 yards. Now, granted, they were down in that game against Carolina, but still 8 carries for 5 yards.
Yo, and it might be time after last night too. Might be time to start realizing that Panthers defense is decent. You know, I don't know if I'm ready to think they're holier than thou, like a lot of people have been saying, but I mean that defense is very much improved. I think they haven't given up more than 250 yards in any game this season, and if I'm not mistaken, they may not have been at 550 yards in all 3 games combined.
Yeah, well, they lost J.C. Horn last night, broke his foot. That's a huge loss. He was starting
Huge.
And he'd been playing well. He had a pick.
Oh yeah.
One, and he looked the part. He looked like a first round corner. I mean, you know, and you're going against RJ. RJ's got a stud ridden lineup. Again, picked up Chris Carson this week. Going against Minnesota D. Kansas City plays the Chargers. That game could be up and down. You know, again, I think Justin Jefferson breaks out this week. Calvin Ridley against the Giants. I think that's a tough matchup for Ridley in Atlanta, but you never know. You know, and then you got the Cardinals playing Jacksonville at Jacksonville. I mean, that's juicy. That's probably the juiciest defensive matchup this week. And because we all thought Houston. No. Why? Who do you think?
Denver at home against the Jets.
I would say they're 1-2 for sure. You're right. And it's Denver's first home game of the year.
It's the first time they've had fans in how long? I don't think Zach Wilson's going to hear anything for 3 hours.
Zach Wilson's terrible. He's bad. He's bad.
Let's go, Jets.
Jets do it again. Yeah, again, you know, if Ryan has certain things go his way and RJ, you know, has a couple duds, which it's going to be tough. RJ's got loaded with studs. I think RJ moves to 3-0, and he's a real contender this year. I think that goes without saying. I think Arizona defense, they probably have a chip on their shoulder after that week 2 performance, and they're just going to have their ears pinned back. I feel bad for rookie quarterbacks this week. In Jacksonville and in Denver. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. So I'd give the edge to RJ. What do you think?
Yeah, but not much of an edge. It only takes a couple little issues there, you know.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Maybe that Chargers defense that kept Dak and company down keeps them down too in Kansas City.
For sure.
Who knows?
So next we have KZ versus you, John. And this is a big time matchup. 2 teams that are 2-0. And,
yep.
You know, I think this conversation about this game would have been a lot different if we had it 24 hours ago. And
I don't necessarily know that that's the case.
Well, how so? You called me last night and even said I'm fucking sitting on ice because of CMC going on Thursday night against Houston.
I mean, okay, so here's the deal. Of course, Carl lost CMC, and it could have been a huge day. He looked like he was gearing up for a workload, right? Yeah. No denying that. But, I mean, I could very easily be down Antonio Brown and DeAndre Hopkins this week, too. So it's not like I'm coming at him with a stacked lineup. True. You know, that's all I'm saying about the level playing field. You know, I have the slight advantage of I'll know before the game whether or not my guys are going to be fully available or
not. Yeah. No. So, first of all, let me just ease your tension a little bit. Nook will play.
Oh, yeah.
Nook's going to play. And even if he's a decoy, he should have a touchdown. and then you're backing it up with more anyways. So, and when you have a CMC not only not play but get hurt with only 5 points, like that's crushing. That's a crushing blow. And at the time of this recording, Carl's starting Daniel Jones, which, if we stick the Giants, if we stick to that read option, that could be a big week for Daniel Jones. I do think so. But Kenny Galladay is questionable. They say he's going to be a game time decision. I think he'll play, but playing the quarterback roulette. That's why I traded for Russ the night of the draft. I didn't want to carry 4 quarterbacks and have to pick the matchup each week. So far, it's working for Carl. So I got to tip my cap. But battling back with 1-year studs, let's just call it what it is, had a dud week, whether he got hurt or not. 5 points is a dud for a guy like Christian McCaffrey. And again, you got Zeke going Monday night, which is huge. That's a huge closer on the week. And I already told you about my superstition, wanting to have those late night, Sunday night, Monday night games. That's a huge closer. I do think.
I've got him and Rager as a closer.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's huge. That's huge. Hopefully you don't need it, but that's huge.
Right.
Scary Terry playing at Buffalo outside. I mean, what's up with AJ Brown right now? He hasn't been doing much.
Did you hear what he said after in an interview this week?
No.
May have been after the game, may have been Monday or something. He was interviewed or said on Twitter or something. He said, "Yeah, I got home. Someone in my family told me I wouldn't even caught COVID this week." Like rough. But I mean, I expect AJ Brown to have a bounce back. I expect him to have a huge game.
Yeah.
I by no means do I believe Carl's even close to dead in the water. I'm sitting here looking at the projections. Even with CMC, he's still projected to beat me. So, it's we're not even close to over yet. I'd feel a lot better with a healthy Nook and a non-COVID Antonio.
Yeah.
But
for sure. For sure. I mean, if you had Antonio AB and a healthy Nook going in, I would squarely give you the edge, just speaking honestly. But at this point, it's a pick 'em.
Yep.
To Carl's credit, I will say he did back up CMC with Hubbard. So he has
right before, I don't know about right before the game, but it was yesterday that he did it.
He'd had Hubbard in between right around week 1 or in between, and then dropped him and then picked him back up. So, I mean, he knew he had to back him up, and Hubbard looked okay. He looked all right. So again, I look at this as a pick 'em. This is a huge game in your division. Squarely take, the lead in the division, both 2-0 teams. This will be a good one. I definitely think this will be a good one. If there wasn't a more intriguing matchup, I would have probably picked this as the match of the week, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
The next one, I got Jeff, King of the Castle versus Mr. Toes. Jeff came out of the blocks last night with DJ Moore dropping 21.5, which is always a good sign. This one's really going to come down to how big of a shootout that Kansas City Chargers game is with Herbert. Because, Herbert, I think, is the key factor here. I think Tom Brady's going to do his thing. I know the Rams D is awesome, and then I also think that this is a breakout week for Saquon.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I agree. He should. Yeah, it's home against Atlanta. If there's a get-right game for Saquon, this is it. And I understand Jeff not wanting to give up on trading Saquon right before this game. Right. It could be, if he comes out here and lays an egg this week, it could be a completely different story as far as Jeff's concerned about, how liquid Saquon is on his roster.
Yeah. And as it stands right now, Nicki's got Aaron Jones going Sunday night, and then Jeff has Devonta Smith Monday night. That's it. They each have one guy in both of those games. So It'll be interesting to see how Sunday afternoon finishes and sets up basically Aaron Jones versus Devonta Smith for this win. This could be interesting. Now, you get a boost to Godwin. I don't care who's covering him. If Antonio Brown's out, I mean, of course, if he's there, I think it's a little better, but there's only so many targets to go around. And when you got 4 stud receiving options, now you only have 3. It's still, I think Godwin's going to do well. I think he's going to have a big week because, you had Antonio Brown week 1, Gronk has been solid week 1 and week 2. Yeah, Antonio Brown week 1 really go off. Evans kind of went off last week. Yeah, and it might be the Godwin show this week. We'll see.
That would make sense, and that alone would make Jeff tough to beat if it was a Brady to Evan or Brady to Godwin week.
It all depends. Is Ramsey going to shadow Godwin, or is he going to play matchups? Right now
Ramsey he hasn't been shadowing anybody this year. He's just been playing like a free safety almost, right?
Well, he's been playing aside. Yeah. But their defense is studly. I mean, Tom's going to have to get the ball out quick, and that's why I think Godwin has the edge over Evans. If you're looking at the 2 wide receivers, they're going to have to get the ball out quick. And I think Godwin could have 8, 9, 10 catches this week. I really do. It could be more of a possession week, 10 for 105 with a touch, something like that. But that's 25 points right there. It's a solid week. So,
yep.
And again, Nick's looking at, I love Mike Williams. I do. I think Mike Williams is legit as long as he can stay on the field. I love how they've been feeding him and that new offensive scheme.
Or Hollywood's been playing really good.
Jonathan Taylor, is he going to come out of his shell a little bit this week? That could be a defining.
Honest to God, before the season, I was so much higher on him before they signed Nyheim Hines that, once they showed Nyheim Hines the bag, it's like, oh man, they're going to give him work. They don't give him the bag just for him to stand there.
Yeah, that's a sign. That is a sign. Right now, Jeff has T. Higgins in there, but he's doubtful to play. I think he's going to have to make a decision here. Looks like he'll probably start Sony Michel because he's got his options of Darnell Mooney, Scotty Miller, and Sony Michel. And even though I want to start either running back against Tampa, I'd probably start Sony.
Over Scotty Miller?
Yeah.
That's a nice roll of the dice. You know how easy it would be for him to have 40 and a touch?
Yeah, that's true. Filling in for AB. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, no doubt.
That's the way I would lean. Not that
yeah, I think
Jeff's going to run his own team.
Yeah, I think it's a pick 'em. I do give a slight edge to Jeff. It really depends on which quarterback plays better, kind of like it is every week and every match. But you have Tom Brady in a potential shootout against the Rams. You have Herbert. Hold on. You got Herbert at Kansas City, but it's an early start. It's a 1:00 Eastern Standard Time start, so that one could be interesting. So
I don't know. Nicki's got a bunch of plotters and a tough matchup at QB. I'm going Jeff on this one.
Okay. It's in my division. I don't really want to favor one team or the other, but all right.
Well, you don't have to favor. Just look at the plotter. Look at Nicki's running backs. They're Mike Davis, Dame Harris, as opposed to Austin Eckler and Saquon Barkley.
Sure.
Jonathan Taylor, is Aaron Jones going to have 4 touchdowns every week?
Yeah. And New Orleans hasn't been giving up much of anything on the ground. So it's a tough matchup for Dame.
Yep.
And yeah, he got CEH on the bench. Fuck that dude.
So bad, man.
Yeah, it is. All right, so check it out. Here we go. Matchup of the week. You ready?
Cousin on cousin?
No. Third. We already did that.
Oh, yeah. Where are we at?
Oh, man, smoke another one. 33% chance versus little Nicki Normie Puss. This is the matchup of the week because both teams are 0-2. This is huge. This is monstrous. This is huge, huge, huge. I mean, based on what's happened in the first 2 weeks, I'd give the edge to Phil. Excuse me, Phil. However, you look at some of these matchups. I mean, Flipper does have Green Bay at San Francisco, which is huge. Adams and Rodgers. Both of these guys already have 21 points. Norm's got 21.3. Flipper's got 21.2. The big caveat there is that Norm already had 2 guys go. He got 20 points out of his defense and a 1.3 out of Robbie Anderson. What happened to where did he go, dude? Like, we don't even see him.
Somebody said earlier today, I don't remember where I heard it. It was great though. They said every time that Darnold looks up, he sees Robbie Anderson and flashes back to Adam Gase, so he immediately goes to his next read.
Bro, he'd get more fantasy points being one of the guys that holds the umbrella over the quarterback on the sideline, shading him from the sun. Like, Robbie, just throw him the ball, give him a chance. And then watching the game last night, it's all DJ Moore, man. It is all DJ Moore. I feel like it was just over.
Darnold definitely locked onto his dude, huh?
Yeah. And I got to give Flipper some credit here. He scooped up Brandon Cooks late in that draft. This is what Brandon Cooks has done so far. 5 catches for 132, 9 catches for 78 and a touch, 9 catches for 112, 20.7, 18.3, 21.2. That's a hell of a way to start the season on a guy that a lot of us passed on.
And not only have a lot of us passed on it, let's be real. How many trade offers do you think Flipper's gotten for Brandon Cooks?
In the first 2 weeks? I don't know. Probably not many, in my opinion.
I wouldn't think so, but here the dude is putting up 20 fucking points a week.
Now, is anybody going to actually trade for him?
Is Flipper going to give him up?
Well, we all know he's got a kung fu grip on his entire team. Just like he squeezes his little dicky fucking. Yep. I meant his guitar pick. That's what I meant. Looking at Norm's team here, he's definitely got a couple guys that can go off. He's going to need those guys to really blow up and have a good week. He still has right now, he doesn't have a kicker, figures. But yeah, it looks like I would give the edge to Flipper. I think Flipper's due for a win. His team's too good not to be in the win column. And with Rodgers going on Sunday night, Norm's got Ayuk in that game, and we really don't know what that is.
What do you think about Ayuk?
I love the guy, but if I had him on my team, I wouldn't start him just yet. It's a wait and see approach because the first 2 weeks have been so dreadful. Obviously, the first week of him being, bumped down the depth chart, and then the second week, he just he hasn't gotten the targets, man. So maybe this week he does, and it's a nationally televised game, so we can all watch it and see how the gameplay, the script plays out. I'm an Ayuk guy. It just hasn't worked. So,
yep,
it hasn't worked. I mean, what do you think? You're the one that traded him.
I mean, it was one of the few question marks I had, and I opted for stability over a question mark. The question mark could be a big question mark.
Yeah.
But, I feel like Jacoby Myers is going to have, 6, 7, 8 targets a week. And I think he's not going to do nothing with them, which is exactly what I need. He's going to be in my 5th wide receiver spot. I'd rather not have the question and have a little stability there where I'm sitting right now. But if I was in Norm's position, I would take Ayuk because you need the dart throw, you need the gamble, you need the big payoff. So I understand that too.
I mean, he does have options on his bench. I hate that though, when you've got like 4 or 5 guys that you could slide into that spot and you just don't know which guy to pick because you're hoping, Ayuk to blow up and have that week, that monster week. I don't know, but you don't want him on your bench when he does either.
Right.
And this could be a game where San Francisco is down. And
ultimately that FOMO of him sitting on my bench is what cost me Rondale Moore in my lineup this week. That's what it was. Yeah. I got the FOMO from Brandon Ayuk having a huge game because he was sitting on my bench, and I was I don't want to be there. Yeah, we talked about this, right? You were at my house for the game.
10 minutes before kickoff.
10 minutes, and I said, Rondale, I feel like is the smart play. Yeah. No.
Well, and we went back and forth.
Ayuk, I said.
Yeah. We went back and forth and we laid it out. And it's a gut punch, but at the end of the day, it didn't hurt.
100%.
You get a win, you got to be happy. And when you win by 60, yeah, you want to score as many points as you can because at the end of the day, points are what matter. But you got the W. So don't kick yourself too much over it. It's not like you lost by 1,
Right. It's not like it cost me the win 100%. Just,
yeah.
I'm competitive. I'd rather be 5 points behind you rather than 40 points behind you.
True. Well, I could still be kicking myself for my week 1 defense decision. I picked the wrong D. That was a 19-point swing. 19 points. So, hey, we all have those, those coaching decisions. I really try to set my lineup unless I have an injury, decision to make on Sunday. I really try to set my lineup ahead of Sunday. I was talking to my brother Connor last week. I was like, dude, don't get gun shy on Sunday morning. Like, you had these guys in your lineup all week. You need to convince yourself why not to start that guy versus why to start another guy is my rational thinking. Because I've been doing this for too long, where on Sunday morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, I feel good about this guy all of a sudden. I need to start him. And it doesn't work. It never pans out. I feel like it always backfires.
I had Ayuk and White in my lineup all week, and I changed it at the last minute.
Yep.
All right, Rondale.
More. Yeah.
All week.
Yeah. So I hate to say this, Norm, but I think you're going to fall to 0-3, buddy. I'm rooting for Phil. I'm going to be honest. I'm rooting for Phil. I like Phil's team a little more. I think George Kittle could go off on that Sunday night game too. That's another guy that we haven't talked about. I mean, their aerial attack has been pretty much all Debo. Yeah, all Debo. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Think Normie falls to 0-3, or is it Flipper falling to the bottom of the barrel again?
Yeah, it's Norm. Norm's going 0-3. He's been on the downward spiral this year, not the up and up, like you said, trading Henry and trading Lamar the week that between the two of them, they had 90 points in a week that he lost by 100 or by 60, excuse me, barely cracking 100. That's got to be a real kick in the dick.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and again, the fact that Norm and Phil are basically tied, but Norm's already had 2 guys go, including a wide receiver he was hoping for double digits, if anything else. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Again, those 0-2 teams, I wish you luck. Unfortunately, there is, one matchup where both teams – actually, is there 2? No. There's only one matchup where it's both 0-2 teams, and that was the matchup of the week. If Flipper falls to 0-3, he's going to be on paper, have the best 0-3 team I've seen, given the amount of points that he scored. He's been over.
Didn't he have the exact same thing last year or the year before, where he had the best friggin' 0-4 team ever?
Yeah, it's just sheer luck, man. I mean, although last week he wouldn't have scored enough points to really win any matchups. I think he was like 6th or 7th, but nonetheless, that's tough. When you scored a good amount of points, but not enough. I mean, he would have died to face somebody that scored under 100 last week, roll into this week 1-1. But yeah, week 3, I know we said, the league started to shape up and take form. There's 4 teams that are 2-0. There's 4 teams 1-1 and 4 teams 0-2. But really this week is where things are I think we're going to start chiseling away at that statue of the league and see the hierarchy as it is. I mean, again, on paper, you can see that there's, out of the 4 teams that are 2-0, I think 3 of the teams, that'll be me, you, and RJ, have the rosters built for the long haul. And the only reason why I say that, even before the CMC injury, is because Carl was playing Russian roulette with the quarterback.
Yep.
And
we all know we can't win without that top 5 guy, but he does have that Fields in his back pocket that guy could pan out to be his Patrick Mahomes this year.
It's true. It's true. But going back to my point, it's like you, myself, RJ, we have 3 stud quarterbacks, and we also have the connects to back it up. So our squads have that strong foundation. And I want to say good luck to you this week. Good luck in your attempt for 3-0. Do you have any parting shots?
Hammy. Yeah.
What did Phil say? I saw it detach from the bone.
Dude, the NFL Network was like showing like a clip where you could only see like the backside of his thighs while he was running. And it's like all they could be trying to show you is fibers ripping off the back of his leg. Like,
yeah, I saw it ball up a little bit, but it was a solid pull. But again, to Carl's credit, he backed it up. He handcuffed it.
Absolutely. And whatever. It's going to be fine. It's not going to be a season-long ender. He was talking about joining your cousin at the end of the bus. I was like, shut the fuck up.
No
way.
His team still has a lot of quality players for sure. There's no question about it.
Oh, yeah. He's not even – he lost Christian McCaffrey only putting up 5 points, and he's not a lock to lose. He's got a great chance. Yep. Like you say, it's still a pick 'em, even though McCaffrey only got 5.
Yep.
So.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, all right, man. Well, it was good chatting with you, dude. Again, good luck. Go Giants.
Yeah. Good luck in your search for 3, and fuck the Giants.
I know.
On top of my normal disdain and loving to see everybody in the league squirm in group chat, I got to face goddamn Danny Dimes this week.
Yeah. Yep. In your face.
Fuck the Giants. All right, boys. Good luck to everybody week 3, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right. Peace.
Later.